Hey, Liberty North AP Psych. Today is Thursday, the 26th. And to start today's live stream off, backed by popular demand, I had a lot of demand and asked for Angel to come back on the show. So everybody wanted to see another trick. So we're going to do another trick, aren't we? You ready? You ready? Okay, so we're just going to, we'll get going. So this is one of her more famous tricks. She's actually a turtle. Get your cheeks. Come on. Yeah. Back. 3D. No, you gotta go over. Gotta go over. Nope. Come. Over. Over. No, over. She's never done it with the book. Over. Jump. 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 Okay, here. Massive fail. Jump. Here. Okay. Jump. Jump. There we go. Jump. 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 Come on. There we go. Good girl. Come on. Do it with the book. 3D right into the camera. Jump. Jump. No. Jump. There we go. Good girl. Not so good at catching. Yeah. Missy catching. Okay. You head upstairs. If I say bye to Wonder Dog, where is she? There she is. Okay, see ya. All right, so today we're going to be covering the end of the learning targets for chapter 4. So I'm gonna move it back here so maybe you guys can see a little better. So no notes on the pad today, but I'm just gonna go down with the page numbers and with the learning targets, just to kind of go down and let you finish them. Again, if you have any questions, make sure you check the assignment page on Canvas for what is due by April 3rd. And then tomorrow, no live stream. It's just kind of a work day on Fridays. Will just be a work day. And then Monday, we're actually going to start chapter 15, personality. So you still will be able to work. Faces in the shadow. Got it. Why I'm in the shadow? Let me see here. Oh, I got it. Hold up. Let's move it back here. There we go. Okay, better? Angel. There we go. Okay. I think I keep going in and out of the shadow. I don't know why today. It's weird. It's kind of in the same spot I had it yesterday. Go up like that. There we go. That's better. Okay. So don't forget for your token economy, those. And then I meant to bring down her Darth Vader doll. It was kind of funny. Yesterday, Angel was beating Darth Vader up the rest of the day after we had her do her trick. So it was kind of entertaining. So on page 164 today, we're going to start and we're going to knock off learning targets 10, 11, 12, and 13 today. So if you want to get that out, you can. And again, probably best thing to do is we'll cover it, and then you can go back and write it down. Learning targets. Again, learning targets are on Canvas as well. All right. So today, discuss maturational challenges in adolescence, including related family conflicts, characterize the development of decisions related to intimacy as people mature, predict the physical and cognitive changes over time, okay, and then identify the key researchers in the area of adulthood and aging. So you're actually going to get a lot of Erikson today. So if you remember, we went over Erikson's 8 stages of psychosocial development, which are on page 170. So his theory is on page 170. So in each stage, we have a conflict that we resolve either good or bad. But then also always remember that we're progressing no matter what. So it doesn't matter. We don't stay in the stage. So again, he starts off stage 1 with trust versus mistrust. Remember intimacy and attachment theory there. So you're going to get trust or mistrust, and you're going to move up. So you don't stay in stage 1 until you get trust. You move up. So it's kind of like a forced choice that we're going to talk about today. So learning target 10, discuss challenges in adolescence, including related family conflicts. So here are some big ones you need to know. So again, remember, maturation is pre-programmed growth. It's biological growth and change. It is a concept of development, a part of it, but it's the biological pre-programmed, the things that have critical periods, kind of have time frames we need to make sure that we develop and change during. So just some of the ones you can write down is obviously hormones, okay, physically. So puberty is a maturational stage of adolescence. We're all going to go, you are going through it. I went through it, but everybody goes through it. And then our hormones, our endocrine system is adjusting there, which then that can relate to the family conflict issue, because you are very volatile at this age as your hormones are adjusting and levels are changing. So that's a huge maturational process. I think probably the biggest maturational process is socialization. So, and that's what Erikson is saying in his theory. Again, you guys right now are in 5 and 6. So you're in identity versus isolation, identity versus role confusion, or intimacy versus isolation. And so he's going to say right there, that's kind of your big maturational period. Again, the idea is that in child development, we're looking inwards and developing the inward part of my mind and socialization. Again, the infants, the children see the world from their own perspective. Adolescent, you start looking out. All right. So you start looking outside of yourself more. And that we believe that you're driven to do that. So you're driven to start forming relationships, start forming your identity. And so that is a maturational part of it. Cognitive, again, the way you think. Again, if we go back to Kohlberg, Piaget, Gilligan, moral development is huge during adolescence and moving onward into late adolescence. So a lot of that starts in early adolescence, but then kind of ends in late adolescence. Okay. So that's pretty much on page 164. And then 165 talks about the physical development, talks about puberty. So don't forget that. So the big one there, I would say, obviously the physical changes and maturation with puberty and hormones. But then just don't forget, as we've emphasized more, socialization is a need, it's drive, and it's part of that maturational stages. And we do know that you transfer from the egoistic view of the world in childhood, just being able to look at my stuff, to now being able to view it through other people's eyes and start to be driven towards socialization. So that's a big one that I would include there. And again, that's also promoted by culture, because we are a very social culture. We're social animals, so we are motivated and driven to kind of seek those relationships, friendships, and so on and so forth. All right, characterize the development of decisions related to intimacy as people mature. That's number 11. So there, again, what they're referring to is, if you turn to page 170 and you look at Erikson's theory, again, that in adolescence, the key maturational, if you will, but the key components of his theory are stage 5 and 6, in which you're doing identity versus role confusion, and then you're doing intimacy versus isolation. So intimacy is huge. You're trying to successfully attach to friends, to reach out and form relationships, again, not just with my family, but now with my friends and my peers. And again, at your age group, your main social group changes from family to your peers. So your main influence group is your peers and not your family. So again, we can kind of see that biologically that happens. A lot of research says that you're going to seek intimacy and identity from your peers now, not your family. And you'll do that till about the end of college. And then you'll kind of start to go back to your family and kind of value family. A really good way to look at it. In childhood, it's all my parents and internal. And then in adolescence, it's all kind of my peers, which again can create more conflict with your parents, going back to learning target number 10, because it's just a change. It's part of development. It's just like when you guys go off to college, your parents might become empty nesters. They're going to lose a child from the home. It's development. It's a change. Okay. But what we do know, and what Erikson believed, is that it's a maturational change, that you are socially, you have maturation periods as well during the socialization process. And isolate or identity versus role confusion is the first one. Your crisis is to figure out who you are, and then value that person no matter what. which is that self-efficacy part. Know your good and your bad, know your talents, your deficits, and like that person, and then be able to seek out and form lasting relationships with other people. Now, again, we talked about this. Make sure that our culture values switching those. So our culture values intimacy first, and then identity second, which doesn't really work as well. Which is why there's a lot of conflict in relationships, whether it be with your parents or your peers at your age. Okay. All right, number 12, predict the physical and cognitive changes that encourage or emerge through the lifespan, including steps that can be taken to maximize function. So if you turn to page 175, I think that talks about adulthood. And for people my age, there's really nothing good in that last section of adulthood. So basically it talks about everything declining. So if you turn to page 175 with me, and actually on page 177, there's, if you want to star that one. So the section starts on page 175 for learning target number 12. But 177 has a chart of just some of the things that happen and some of the changes that we get. So as you become older, you're more susceptible to short-term illnesses. So again, your immune system starts to shut down or starts to slow down, which we see in coronavirus. So again, as you are elderly, and the higher you get, the more susceptible you are to viruses, and you would be more susceptible to COVID-19 because your immune system starts to decline slowly. So you can't fight off things that you normally would. It takes longer for you to recover. I know that when I turned 40, that was one of the big things that I noticed, is that when I competed or did athletic things or whatever, it took me a lot longer to recover from those events than it used to when I was younger. During old age, neurons begin to die. So that's also a fact, which also is why Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, those neurological diseases generally start later in life, because I do have neurons that are starting to decay, die. LTP, long-term potentiation, begins to go down. Gray-white matter decreases, connections, neural networks decrease. So that's there as well. Okay, we're more susceptible to Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia. Our memory obviously fades. And then if you turn to page 179, you're going to see a whole bunch of graphs that start to decline for the elderly. So, everything just kind of begins to slow down and shut down. Also, so we can talk about the physical maturation processes there and the changes that, biologically we see, we start to decline. But also socially, it can become a huge challenge when we are, aging and advanced in age or elderly. You can see that there. Okay. And then number 13, key contributor to areas of adulthood and aging would be Erikson. So that's the one that you need to know there for number 13. Okay. So really 164 kind of to 175 are your pages here that you'll get your information from for that last few targets there. And then again, if you are missing any of the targets from any previous chapter or any previous part of the chapter, then make sure you go back and get that, because again, we have now, as of today, with 164 to 175, we've covered all of the learning targets. So we've hit all 16 of them. So if you missed any, you can, read the chapter. You can contact another classmate if you want, but make sure you have them down. So again, and tomorrow I'll put up the update for the quiz. So your chapter 4 quiz will be to pick 2 of these learning targets, any 2 that you want, answer them completely, and then apply 5 vocab to the question, to the answers as well. You can do that with a partner. You can do it with your AP learning targets, your names, your AP notebook, and you can do it with the book. So if you want to just split that up and share it, and then share it with me, or take a pic of it if you write it, however you want to get that to me, but that'll be your quiz. So today, actually, if we were in class, it would be the notes, and then you would have the half of class to do your vocab assignment, which some people have started turning into me. So, today, if you want to do that, you can, but just make sure that gets to me as well. And I've got, if you check out the grade book, I've got your vocab assignment, your chapter 4 lab, and then the journal critique in there, as people are starting to finalize and turn those in to me. So, we're just going to keep adding grades as you get them in. Again, work at your pace. So, I don't want you to get overwhelmed. You have a lot of time, but also just keep in mind that Monday we'll start chapter 15. So we will start personality on Monday with the live streams. Actually, I have a great personality test. It's actually one of the favorite of students. So I'll tweet that out. But I start off with a really good Freudian personality test. And actually, oddly enough, a lot of students, probably most years, believe it's the most accurate and the most fun, which is kind of amazing once you take the test. So, but we'll try to spend a day each time we live stream, and I'll try to walk you through a different personality test. And then Jada is going to film her session with the Enneagram. We're going to take that and analyze that. And then I think I'll have you take the Myers-Briggs, and then we'll analyze that. But we're going to go ahead and move on Monday with personality. Again, you have the whole rest of that week to still turn in chapter 4 stuff. But then, you'll have 2 weeks to work on chapter 15 stuff. Okay. So I think that's pretty much it today. Groups and turn it in. Okay. So I think that's it. I think we'll end a little bit early today. So if you want to spend the rest of the time doing that in-class vocab assignment, you can. If not, make sure again you contact me any means necessary if you have any questions. And then hopefully next week it'll be kind of just a regular kind of a better routine as we get into the live streams, covering the material, so on and so forth. So I also sent a picture of the vocab, so it should be coming up in Canvas. So for those of you who didn't bring your book home, or you're having problems with the online text, I did take a picture of the last page that has the vocab on it. And I put that in the assignments under chapter 4. And I'll probably do the same thing for chapter 15. I'll just go ahead and take a picture and stick it in there just so you can have it if you don't have your book. And then you can always use the online text for the information we're covering if you don't have your book, or you can just Google the information. Again, today would be Erikson. If you just Google Erikson psychosocial stages, you're gonna get tons of stuff. You're gonna get his theory, each stage, and so on and so forth. And then the key thing is just maturation changes in adolescence and adulthood. And I think that kind of summarizes what we're talking about, other than the conflicts. So just know that you guys are changing your social influence groups from parents to family. You're beginning to stop looking internally and looking outward. And also then your hormones are changing and adjusting via puberty, which all of that leads to it being a pretty rocky time. I think according to the last survey, I just read that most teenagers, most adolescents will view the middle school years as the toughest. So that I think it was grades actually 6 through 8, or was it 7 and 8? I can't remember. I think it was 6 through 8. So the middle school years would be the most toughest, volatile. There's a word that they actually rank. You shifted your social groups. You are entering a huge maturation period, according to Erikson, in which you begin to kind of socialize and attach to people outside of your family group and your parents, and that's a need, it's a drive. So you have all this going on during adolescence, which kind of makes it very turbulent. And that was an American survey, by the way. So, but I would assume it would be the same for any other adolescent group throughout the world. I would think that it's just turbulent, mainly because you still are going to have the physical maturation of your hormones, puberty. The socialization part might look a little bit different or be influenced by culture. But again, Erikson's going to argue that it's maturation. We socialize, we have to socialize, and this is kind of how we do it. But again, our culture switches 5 and 6, which creates more turbulence, which makes relationships harder. So, okay. All right. 20 minutes. That's what I'm going to mark it as. So you guys have a good day. If you need anything, let me know. Peyton says, for chapter 15, will we write down all the vocab? Yes, for chapter 15, you will write down all the vocab. So you'll need to have your learning targets and your vocab done for chapter 15. And so there'll be more of a vocab component on the chapter 15 quiz. Any other questions that we have? Okay, I think just for the people that stay till the end, I think I forgot to get a Star Wars thing in here today because I didn't have, this is one of my prized possessions. These are special guests at some point, but this is 3PO and R2. So there you go. So you can add that to your token economy. So you should have a Dr. Pepper, a pineapple, and a couple of Star Wars. All right. All right. If you need anything, email me or contact me. We'll see you soon.